Hello and welcome to this talk about digital eye strain in virtual reality head-mounted displays. My name is Teresa and I'm very happy to present to you today this work, which has been accepted for publication with SIGCHI. I'm presenting to this work on behalf of my co-authors from Ulm University, Telekom Paris and the University of Stuttgart. Digital eye strain refers to eye and vision problems that are associated with the use of digital displays. And with more and more digital displays used in our lives, this problem really gets pervasive. Nowadays, between 60 and 90% of computer users are affected by the problem. And there's a lot of research about it too. So there's research about causes, about potential solution strategies, and about measurement methods to use. However, when we think about VR HMDs, there's really not much research going on. And this is quite surprising because VR HMDs present several properties that make them particularly prone to DS. These are, for example, reduced screen-to-eye distance. Furthermore, they cover a larger field of view than conventional displays. And also, they have this vergence-accommodation conflict, which refers to vergence and accommodation responses being decoupled in VR HMDs. There is some research on DS in VR HMDs. However, this mostly concentrates on the comparison of symptoms between desktop users and VR HMD users and has mainly been conducted in lab studies. So we don't really know how users at home are affected by the problem. This leads me to our research gap. So this consists of two parts. First, studies on how users are affected by DS in the natural usage behavior at home are currently missing. And second, studies on alleviation or solution techniques are also missing, and we really have to think about how to develop solutions to this problem. So this led us to our work, which is structured into three parts: understanding, addressing, and analyzing digital eye strain in VR HMDs. For the understanding part, we conducted a user survey with 68 VR HMD users who owned a VR HMD and who use it on a regular basis. And we asked them about prevalence and severity of symptoms. Furthermore, we asked them about the usage of coping strategies. So basically, what do they do if they experience symptoms? In the second part, we addressed this problem by developing and evaluating two coping strategies. And these are blue light filtering and eye exercises. And finally, we present an analysis and we identified several key factors that underlie this problem and found the two major factors, susceptibility and gender, which have an influence. Finally, we summarize our main findings in 10 key challenges that can guide future work in this area. So I want to start with the understanding part. I'm not going to present everything, but just some selected questions. So one question was that we asked the participant was to indicate whether they usually experienced any form of DES. And here 47% said that they at least occasionally experienced DS symptoms when using VR HMDs. We then asked them to compare the frequency of symptoms that they experienced during VR usage with those during desktop screen usage. And here we found that 54% of the participants experienced DS symptoms more often with VR HMDs than with desktop screens. Lastly, I want to present the result of the Computer Vision Syndrome questionnaire. This questionnaire was basically developed as a tool to diagnose people with computer vision syndrome, which is a synonym for digital eye strain. And here we found that 53% of our participants had a score of 6 or higher, which basically indicates that they can be diagnosed with computer vision syndrome. So all these points, all these results that I presented here point towards DS really being a problem for everyday users. Therefore, in the second part, we then investigated two approaches that could address this problem. And here we investigated blue light filtering on the one hand and eye exercises on the other side. Blue light filtering is currently available in almost all digital devices and is also increasingly implemented in VR HMDs by VR HMD manufacturers. However, empirical studies on whether this actually helps in VR HMDs are missing. Eye exercises are short visual tasks that trigger certain eye muscles around the eye or in the eye and that are directed towards reducing symptoms by relaxing the eye muscles. And we have investigated these two approaches in a set of user studies. I'm going to present the general procedure here. So we always implemented a VR application that basically was a game and consisted of several levels. And after each level, we asked the users to indicate their current digital eye strain level in a self-report questionnaire. So the cues here are the questionnaires, and then in between they performed the task. For the blue light study, we implemented a game similar to the Beat Saber game. And for the eye exercise study, we implemented a word search puzzle. So I want to show the main results of the user studies. On the left, we see blue light filtering, on the right, eye exercises. The golden line is the control condition where no technique was applied. And on the left, you can see that the symptoms increase over time, but that there's really not a difference between the blue light filtering condition and the control condition. On the right, you can see that the symptoms also increase for the control condition, but not for the eye exercise condition. Here, the symptoms decrease after performing the eye exercises. So these are only 2 examples that I want to present here, but the basic results that we found is that eye exercises can have an effect on reducing DES symptoms, while blue light filtering did not show a positive effect. Eye exercises could be a solution, and they could be integrated into device use, for example by integrating them into user interface elements, for example buttons that would move in a certain direction. As such, users would perform an eye exercise without being required to do a specific task or something, but it would already be integrated into the usage of the device. Finally, I want to present our 10 key challenges here. And in the paper, these are 10 key challenges, but I summarized them here into 4 main categories. So the first category of challenges is to develop alleviation techniques. In the paper, we showed one example of how to do this with the eye exercises, but there are certainly more that could be developed and could be implemented and evaluated. Then the second category is to consider specific user characteristics. What we found in the analysis part, which I didn't talk about here in this talk, was that we found external factors that also have an influence on the experience of DES symptoms, such as susceptibility or gender. The third thing here is that we should focus on creating a measurement tool, because currently we don't have a suitable measurement or a standardized measurement method to assess digital eye strain in VR HMDs. And lastly, we should focus on external influences, on long-term effects, and on the relationship of DS to other metrics, such as immersion, for example. And with this, I would like to conclude my talk. I want to thank you all very much for listening. If you want to get in touch or if you want to know more about the paper, please write me an email or write an email to one of the other co-authors.